Okay, today we're going to make chapati. Yep. Unlike the pita bread, there's a few ingredients to go with it. Okay, shall we start? The most key point is the actual flour. Now, I'm going to get very close. You need the flour called chapati flour, because without it, it simply wouldn't work. Anyway, the other ingredient you need is salt and, of course, the oil, vegetable oil. I prefer sunflower because it doesn't leave any traces or aftertastes. Okay, just to make it easy, teaspoon of salt and 3 cups of flour, which I've actually put in the bowl already, because when you have a camera and trying to do the ingredients, it can be kind of tricky. Yeah, but anyway, the final ingredient I need to add is, of course, the oil, and we need about a tablespoon. So I'm going to put the oil around 1 tablespoon. But let me find the tablespoon first. Right, this is the teaspoon or tablespoon of oil, which I use to put the oil in. Okay, now all the ingredients are there. And now for the fun messy part. We start mixing all the ingredients up. The final ingredient which we need to make the chapati flour without creating a mess all over the place is the water. So I am going to get 1 cup of water, and that should help to mix and bind the ingredients together. But I think first what I'm going to do with my hands is mix the dry stuff. Yeah. So the salt and the flour and oil, and then the final thing I'll add to the chapati flour is the water. Okay, so let me grab the water. I'll be back in a sec. Now I'm going to mix the water into the dough. Now with this flour, it's best to be gradual when you add water, because it can easily get very watery and very thin and mush, and then it's tricky trying to fix it, but you just need to add more dough till it becomes that consistency. Okay, so this is going to take a little time, and once I'm done, I will show you what it looks like and how it should look like. Okay, so in the meanwhile, have a quick few minutes break, and then you will see this dough transform. And then we will move on to the cooking process. But once the dough is formed, you need to leave it for 5 minutes before we do that, because it gives the dough time to bind together, and then that's when the chapatis can be made. So I will speak to you shortly. Okay, as you can see, 5 minutes later, the dough is ready to cook. Okay, and how I got to this result was by gradual adding in water. Never put it full. I've made that mistake in the past and ended up with mush. Either it was too hard or ended up like soup. Yeah. Anyway, you make a little dough ball like this, And the good thing about adding oil to your hands is you don't need to put flour on the chopping board. And why? Because it doesn't stick. And you just do this. Normally I do it with 2 hands, but because of the camera, I have to use the 1 hand. Now make it as round as possible, though sometimes, yeah, even I kind of mess up on that, but it's okay. It still tastes good, promise. And you will see the roundness of the chapati. Can you see? You got that shape. And there we go. And it's ready to cook. Now, the most important thing is make sure the setting is on medium, or just a little bit over medium because you're heating up the pan. This little pan here. And once you've done that, and you feel the heat, you can reduce it, and you start cooking. Okay, now for that one, we need the little tongs. Yeah. So I'm going to grab my little, tongs or one of these little things. Okay, if you don't have tongs. I'm going to leave it to cook. Most important thing, it has to bubble so it cooks on one side. Otherwise, it's not going to look very nice. So we leave it to cook for a few minutes. Okay. I reduce the heat because I don't want to burn my bread. I just have to make sure it's distributed to the heat, because that's the most important thing. Okay. Just making sure it's at the heating thing. You give it a few minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Can you see it's starting to bubble a little bit? And you'll see it's starting to cook. That's the most important thing. And yeah, this is the most exciting bit. Well, especially it's your first time. You wait in anticipation to see how's this thing going to turn out. But it's fine. Okay, this is the tricky part. Now, I'm used to this, so I'm going to use my hands, but you can use tongs. And there you can see. Can you see the lovely brown dots? Which makes it a very tasty, tasty treat. So there you go. And there's your first chapati, which you can serve with curries, or you can have with yogurt, or with butter, whatever you like. So anyway, bon appetit. Enjoy. And I'll speak you to on the next recipe, which will be coconut rotis, which is the same as the chapati ingredients. The only difference is you add the coconut to it. So I'll speak to you then. Bye for now.